So Utah gained an average of 121,000 new residents each and every year from 2015 up until 2020. Then after 2020 happened, we all know what happened. Everybody started moving to Utah. Utah's become such a hot place to live, and I have conversations every single day with people who have moved to Utah from a different state, and I love these conversations because it helps give me clarity as to what your struggles are, what your questions are, and how I can better serve you. So in this video, if you don't mind, I would love to see it in the comments where you're from and if you're considering moving to Utah and what area. I would love to find out where people are coming from and where you're watching my videos from. I also dove into the data because, as everybody says around here and throughout the West, in most states, everybody's moving to my state from California. And it's just a catch-all of where people apply the blame as to where people are moving from, because so many people tend to push back on that growth. But here's the facts, guys. 19.2% of the people who have moved here from another state came from the state of California. So 4 out of 5 people that come here are coming from places other than California. But in this video specifically, I want to talk about why do Californians regret moving to Utah, but also why do they move here to begin with and why do they love it? So I've come up with a list of nearly 30 things as to the reasons why people specifically move from California or another state to come to Utah. And in this video, I'm going to break it down. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Steele, and I love helping people discover all things Utah, including Utah real estate. So if that's you and you want to know more about living in Utah, you're in the right place. Subscribe, drop a comment below, and you can find my contact information in the description as well as the pinned comment on each and every video where you can connect with me and we can have a conversation. With that said, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice if you do make that move, so please reach out. So many Californians and people from other states choose to make Utah their new home for so many different reasons, and that's why I created this video right here to break it down for you. And in-state as well as out-of-state migration is something I'm really curious about. I love knowing where people are coming from and where they're moving to. So let's dive right in. Why do they come here? Why might they regret it? So first up on the list is affordable housing. If you're coming from California, you might actually find that our house prices here, that the cost of real estate is less than many of the areas in California. I see that all the time. People sell their property in California and they move here and buy an $800,000 home, and to them, it's a bargain. However, if you're coming from a different state that has much cheaper real estate, you might find that the opposite. All in all, different people have different experiences, but this can be both a reason somebody moves here or somebody doesn't want to move here. Next up on the list, specifically to Californians, it's cost of living. The cost of living in Utah is lower than it is in California for so many different reasons. We can factor in all the things that play into cost of living, including real estate, and Utah lands almost right in the middle of the pack in terms of all 50 states across the country. We land at number 23 out of 50 states. Next up is one of my favorite ones, and that is quality of life. People move here for quality of life, and the quality of life that we get to enjoy each and every day living in Utah is amazing, and it attracts so many people and is one of the main contributing factors as to why people do end up moving here. With a strong sense of community, really great public services, and a whole bunch of opportunities both in the job markets as well as outdoor recreation and lifestyle. This place offers so much for so many, and every time I ask people what they love most about living here, they always have something great to say. Next up is the natural beauty that is Utah. I recently made a new friend and client who just moved here from St. Louis, and in his words, each and every day when he wakes up and he drives to his office, he is just blown away with the views of the mountains and how lucky he is to live in such a beautiful place. And I think that sentiment would be shared by anyone who lives here, and it's kind of sad to see that some people who've lived here their entire lives simply take it for granted, but for those that are moving here, it is such a massive draw. And if you get outside of Salt Lake City and get outside of the areas where most people live and up into the mountains and up into the outdoors, you'll see why people want to make Utah their home. Next up is job opportunities. Utah is #1 in the nation for job opportunities. The job growth is real. We have a booming tech scene as well as other industries as well. This place is trying to bring businesses here the right way to grow our industries and to grow specific industries that will help bring in higher paying jobs. Utah's job opportunities are probably the best in the country that you'll find, and that alone is one of the biggest reasons why people choose to make Utah their new home. And piggybacking on the job opportunities is the fact that Utah has a really big and growing and thriving tech scene. So if tech is your jam, if you have a business or work for a company in tech, it is a great place to be. All right, next up is educational opportunities. We are ranked really high for overall education. We are top 10 in the nation, and we do have some really good public universities. I personally attended the University of Utah, but we also have BYU and Utah State, as well as many others that offer really good education. So if you're looking for a higher education here, we do have some great schools and great programs. Next up, this is something people absolutely love about Utah, and it's no surprise, it's outdoor recreation. The skiing industry specifically is one of our leading indicators as to what brings people into the state for tourism, and we drive so many people here to Utah during the winter months for the skiing and snowboarding. That alone is amazing, but there are so many opportunities throughout the entire year for all types of outdoor recreation as well. So this is another reason why so many people move here, not only from California, but from other states as well. All right, so this one, guys, is one that people regret. The one thing that Californians and people from other states tend to regret after moving here is the air quality. So if you're moving from California or a different state, you might find the air quality here to be much worse than where you came from. Utah has, on average, 70% of the days of the year considered to be great air quality. However, it's that 30% where the air quality dips. And in Utah, it typically happens in the wintertime. When we have a storm come through and it drops snow down here in the valley, it then becomes colder on the valley floor, and the warm air gets trapped above and creates an inversion which just traps those pollutants down in the valley. As long as we have a storm coming through each week blowing those pollutants out, this area is wonderful, but some years are worse than others. Last year was really good. This year we got off to a rough start in December, but January got much better, and we just haven't had a problem for quite a few weeks now. But I will say that this is the number one regret that I see from people in terms of why they don't love living here. So if you've experienced that yourself, drop a comment below. If you've moved here from another state, also drop a comment, because I would love to find out what you might not like or what you do like about living in Utah. Moving on, next up is commute times. The commute times here in Utah are phenomenal compared to other places. And when I hear people complaining about traffic here in Utah, it almost makes me laugh, because if you go to Southern California especially, or other cities like Houston, like Phoenix, any larger city where they have worse traffic, you can pretty much get anywhere you need to go in 20, 30, maybe 35 minutes, but the average person's commute time is typically around the 20-minute mark. So I consider the commute time as being something that really is never a deterrent as to why people don't want to move here, and it's never a regret once they do. Next up is Utah's a family-friendly atmosphere. Everything around here is geared towards families, and it shows. So you can see that in everyday life, from restaurants to going out, venues, everything is centered around family, and I personally love that, especially having 2 kids of my own. Which segues really well into my next one, which is safety. Crime rates here in Utah are better than many places, especially some places in California, if that's something you've experienced, and safety is definitely a reason why people find that Utah is a very safe place. Next up is cultural opportunities. We have such a really vibrant cultural scene here, from theater to musicals to events to museums and everything in between. It caters perfectly to a diverse range of interests. All right, next up, this might be one that some people regret, but other people really love, and that is the religious community that is most of Utah. The predominant influence of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is prevalent throughout all of Utah, and if that's something you're looking for to have that influence in your communities, it can be a real positive, but it's also something to be cognizant of if it's something that you're sensitive to and you don't want to experience it. All right, next up is one that someone who moves here from California or a different place might regret, but they might actually love, and that is an escape from urban crowds. We don't have a massive urban environment here in Utah on the Wasatch Front. Yes, we have downtown Salt Lake City as well as downtown Provo and some other small cities around, but for the most part, we don't have that really congested urban environment, and to some people they love that, and some people they might miss that. Next up is business-friendly policies. Utah, and the structure that we've set forth here in Utah, is really trying to attract businesses here that want to create quality jobs for people and for our growth. And so with that said, Utah is one of the most business-friendly states in the nation. All right, this next one is something that I think everybody that moves here absolutely loves and adores, and that is Utah's diverse geography. I'm sitting in my office right now, really close to downtown Salt Lake City, and within 1 hour, I can drive west and be at the Salt Flats. I can drive east and be up in the top of the Rocky Mountains. I can experience lakes and reservoirs and fishing and outdoors and off-roading. I can experience skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, and within an hour or 2 or 3 to the south, I can be in national parks, I can be in the Red Rock country and have a completely different experience in terms of the landscape. And I shared so many other videos that kind of highlight this. I would recommend you check those out as well, because if you're looking for an outdoor adventure, this is the place to be. And next up is community values. Community values ties really well into, but Utah is known for its strong sense of community values. And this is not just religious. This is everything to do with community. There's honestly something here for everybody, regardless of your background, regardless of your ethnicity or your religious influence. It doesn't matter. There's somebody here and there's a community here for you, no matter what. Okay, so this one might be something that you miss about California if you've moved to Utah, and that is the culinary scene. In the past, the culinary scene, the restaurants and fine dining has been lackluster at best, but these last 3 to 5 years have seen a massive boom, especially in and around Salt Lake City, as we've seen so many new restaurants. There have been many months where we've had 25 to 30 new restaurants opening each and every month. And as this has happened, as a local, there are so many new restaurants that I've yet to even try myself. I can't keep up unless I'm eating out every single day. There's just too many for me to go to. But if you've come from California or any other place where there's a bigger culinary scene, you might find that to be a regret. Next up is statewide infrastructure. I think this is a real pro for Utah. Utah does really well in preparing for and planning ahead for the most part, not always. There are some projects that aren't super well planned out, but for the most part, it's being planned out well in advance, and they actually put the resources to work, and we see that we have a really good quality of life because of it. All right, next up is something I've never heard a single person regret about moving to Utah, and that is entrepreneurial opportunities. Utah is driven by small business and entrepreneurs. If that's something that's important to you and that drives you as well, you'll love it here. And if you're self-employed or you're starting a business, this is also a really good place to educate your children as well. We do have highly ranked schools. There's something here for everybody. So regardless of how you're choosing to educate your children, whether it be public schools or charter schools or even homeschooling, it is one of the best places to do so. All right, this next one's polarizing. If you've moved to Utah, I would love in the comments below to see what you think about this next one, but that is the political climate. Politics in recent years have become so polarized, and so often people do make a move from one state to another because of political influence. And Utah being a more conservative state is certainly something that is appealing to some people that are coming from California and many other places as well. I'd love your input down below, so drop a comment. I'd love to see what you have to say. Next up, depending on where you're coming from, California or another state, the proximity to beautiful national parks right here in our backyard is something that's super appealing for many. We have Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, and Arches and Canyonlands National Parks down near Moab. It is the most amazing playground that you could ever imagine. So if you're visiting or if you're considering moving here, you've got to check out those places and go check out what this state really truly has to offer. And just in case you actually get hurt in one of these national parks, Utah has wonderful healthcare facilities and a healthcare system. It's one of the best in the nation, so that's another driving force as to why people choose to live here, but it's never something that I see somebody regretting about moving away from another state, including California. Next is a strange one, and that is accessibility. What do I mean by that? Well, the nickname for Salt Lake City is the Crossroads of the West. I've covered in other videos why that is. We have Interstate 15 coming north to south. We have I-80 running east-west, and it actually just becomes a crossroads. So if you're looking for access to Las Vegas, Phoenix, Southern California, maybe up into Montana, Yellowstone National Park, or over to Denver, it is a wonderful place to be, and a quick flight or even a drive if you want to make that long drive. But the accessibility to other places in this region is awesome. So it's a great reason why people choose to live here. And it's important to note that many different people, individuals, will prioritize different things based on their lifestyle and what their priorities really are. And all in all, so many people from California, as well as many other states, choose to make this their home. And I would love to be your real estate resource of choice if you are considering making that move yourself. So connect with me. You can find all of my information in the description below or in the pinned comment right here on this video. And if you're looking to learn more about what life in Utah is really like, check out this video next. And until next time, thanks.